familiar with the phrase, what you sow is what you reap. In Tagalog, we say, kung ano ang iyong itanim, yun ang iyong aanihin. And it's good to think about, what are we sowing? Are we sowing seed of goodness? Are we sowing seed of not good, or simply bad? Put it in that simple word. What we have in the readings is about sowing and how the seed is being received. But it's so striking to note that in the first reading, in the prophet of Isaiah, God Himself is a sower. He sows seed of goodness, and He let it to spread on the earth. And He trusts that whatever He sowed will bear fruits, fruit in abundance. So that God trusts that it will be received and it will bear fruits. We hear the story of Saint Paul, and he narrated his story to the Romans, saying, but we know who Paul is. Before Paul was converted, he was a sower of hatred and violence against the Christians. But God sowed in his heart seed of goodness, seed of conversion. And God let it grow until Paul was ready to meet Jesus in person. And that changed his life. From being a sower of hatred and violence, he became sower of goodness and love. And Paul told the Romans that to be a sower of goodness would be difficult. You would be faced with a lot of rejection. You will be put down. People will hate you. People will threaten you. But nevertheless, St. Paul said, in spite of all this, I continued, because deep in my heart, the seed of goodness is growing. And then we hear from the gospel about different receptions of the seed. Probably one might think, no, what kind of sower is this? Or what kind of farmer just throwing the seeds anywhere? If you are a good farmer, you don't just throw your seed anywhere. Why? Because it will be a waste. So you would rather just throw the seed in the good soil. But here, the story is the sower was just sowing it or throwing it in different places, like the pathway, the rocky road, thorny place, and finally good soil. What is the message there? The message there is that the sower trusts that the seed that he sowed would grow. There is the trust in the sower that the seed would grow, notwithstanding the type of reception. I think it's something that we have to learn. We really need to trust. Perhaps at times we find ourselves like wanting to instill a change in a person, but we feel we are helpless and hopeless, as if no change is happening. Like parents giving up on their children because they don't see change in their children. Or children giving up on their parents because they don't see their parents change. Or husband and wife blaming each other and they don't see any change in each other. We can go on. We can see people around us in the workplace not changing, in spite the fact that we are doing something to help them change. But they don't. We only have to trust. Just do the acts of goodness. Just sow the seed and let that seed grow. Probably it may not be your time that it will grow and the effect will come about. Perhaps it may just need some time. Isn't it that we love to say, in God's time? Really? Do we believe that? In God's time? Actually, it's not. We don't really believe that. Because we always unconsciously say, it's my time. I want to see this person change in my time. Parents will grow old and they will see their children grown ups. Have they changed? Probably they will not see how they have changed, but they must have changed. Because it's not only we who are expecting people to change. The one who is more concerned about change to happen in us is God. So let God do His own work. We trust in Him that God will do everything to make that work. Of course, the person we ask or we expect to change should have this kind of sensitivity, receptivity, to create that kind of good soil so that the seed that is sown will grow and eventually will effect change. But we should never give up. The Lord asks us to keep trusting because in His own time, things will surely happen. In His own time. It's not our time. In His own time. And if that time comes, surely it will be the fullness of time that God desires for people to experience. And we will witness that unfolding of the fullness of time. And we can only be grateful that after all, our efforts are not futile. That our efforts paid because we did our best and we let God do the rest. Isn't it our favorite expression? Do your best and God will do the rest. But we distorted this. We always rest and we let God do His best. Why don't we keep it as it is? Let us do our best and let God do the rest.